Hi guys, it's Nikki from Education, and today I've just come to address the elephant in the room. One question I always get from my clients in the early stages when we're still in the consultation stage is, do you know what, I'm in two minds. I don't know whether to go into supported living or to go into domiciliary care. I'm overwhelmed. I don't know which one's more lucrative. I don't know which one is more suited to my personality and my skill set. There's just so many different questions, so many different options. And I always just say, well, you know, let's have the consultation and you'll figure out which one is better for you. But today I've decided to do the pros and the cons of domiciliary care and supported living. I'm not going to go into all of the pros and the cons because I always like to save some things for the consultation. I don't want to give away all my tips, but today I will be giving you guys a few. So let's get right into it. The first pro I would say for domiciliary care is that once we have obviously gotten you CQC regulated, you can pretty much start. You know, you need customers, which we also help you with, but you get that process out of the way of being regulated and you start straight away. It's not like supported living where you have to go and source a house. And with supported living, which I will soon go into, you don't just go and get a house that's just suitable according to your standards. There's very specific standards. There's very specific requirements. With domiciliary care, all you need are your carers who are drivers and non-drivers and your clients. And those carers will go to those clients' house and then go to the next call or wherever they're expected to be. So there's no need for physical building per se. Actually, I have one client who is still operating from her house. Yeah, she has an office in her house. You know, she does her day-to-day work from her house and her carers go to their calls and as and when they're expected to. And, you know, it works very well for her. It's been working well for her for the past 2 years. And yeah, you can't do that in supported living. Obviously, the onus of finding a property would be on you as the supported living provider. You know, that can be kind of strenuous. So that is a pro, if I do say so myself. So the second pro of domiciliary care is that it is very heavily regulated, obviously by the CQC, and their approach to making sure that care is being carried out to a very high standard is very much hands-on, and it is very much thorough and strenuous. And so that's not a bad thing. I know people see it as a bad thing. I know that people see CQC as the big bad wolf, but they're not, you know, because at the end of the day, you are looking after vulnerable adults, and, you know, you have to make sure that there are no safeguarding issues. You have to make sure that your carers are, you know, have the right to be working and are working to the highest standards. So, you know, I think the body of CQC is a good thing. I think people should stop seeing CQC as like the big bad wolf, you know, because they are there for a reason. They are there to protect the most vulnerable. And I personally think that is amazing. And I think when you have the appropriate help, it's not as intimidating. I think it's only intimidating when you don't know where to start, when you do not know what's expected to you, do not know your own policies, you do not know the laws, regulations, you do not know how to appropriately safeguard vulnerable people. That's when it becomes scary. That's when it becomes intimidating. But if you know what you're doing, honestly, the CQC, you'll see it as nothing but an aid and a regulatory board. You won't see it as like the big bad wolf, as I put it. So that is a pro in my books. So now we're going to go on to the cons of a domiciliary care company. So I would say the first con of a domiciliary care is retention problems. I've heard this from multiple of my clients, multiple of my peers who are in the same industry. Say, you know what, the one problem that I find a pain in the neck is recruitment. Trying to retain carers is a nightmare, especially if you have carers on a 0-hour contract. Yeah, you just find that when you find a good carer, it's great, you know, but until you get to that point, and especially in the early stages when you're trying to establish your team, it's not the easiest. And some people go to recruitment companies and pay thousands and thousands, which I wouldn't advise. I would say you should take your time in-house and establish a very robust and caring team. But I don't say that lightly, because that's not something that's done overnight. And also not only establishing that team, but retaining it, it's not easy. And that's one problem that I'm sure is not unique to domiciliary care. But yeah, I definitely find that it's really difficult to retain carers in domiciliary care. So the next con is your CQC rating. So the way CQC works is they will only come for your initial inspection once you have customers, right? Because if you don't have customers, there's nothing to inspect. What that means is that until you get that CQC rating, you're not rated, right? So you'll hear people saying things like private customers and you know, councils and what have you will say things like, you don't have a rating. And that is kind of daunting, isn't it? Because if you're leaving your loved one in the hands of a company who's just been established, don't have any rating whatsoever, all you know about them is that they are CQC regulated, but they haven't been inspected yet, that can be very daunting because you don't know if they're a good company or if they're a bad one. And then on the downside, if you do get the inspection and you don't do great because it's your first time, all you have is a big fat inadequate on your report or requires improvement. That doesn't look great. Right? It's fine, because with our help, you know, we also help people who have received an inadequate or a requires improvement rating from CQC, so we can help you with that as well. But yeah, I mean, once you have that rating, if it's not great, you're in trouble. I don't want to sugarcoat it. You're in trouble. I mean, you can still get business opportunities, obviously, but it doesn't look great. And I think that a lot of people would not want to put their most vulnerable kin in the hands of a company that has not been rated. I think requires improvement is, there's still hope. But I think rated inadequate is obviously still hope, but it will result in loss of opportunities. There's no other way of putting it. It will result in loss of opportunities. And if you don't have a rating at all, then it's kind of ambiguous, you know, because people don't really know what to expect of you. And you will only get that rating from CQC once you get those clients. And again, a lot of people struggle to get clients, you know, if there's no external help. Some people struggle to do it themselves, you know. I mean, I'm a business developer as well, so I have a sales background. So for me, getting customers is a walk in the park. But I understand that not everyone has that expertise, not everyone has that skill set. For me, I think that that is something that you strongly do need to consider if you want to have a domiciliary care agency. So now I'm going to go into the pros of supported living. So the main pro for me is just how lucrative supported living is. I mean, this is an industry that was valued at 11.5 billion pounds, I believe, as of 2022. And for reference, domiciliary care is valued at 5.6 billion. The supported living industry is larger, right? Which means that it is more lucrative, there's more opportunity for monetary gain. So that is obviously a pro. It has a bigger market size. And I think that just goes without saying that it's definitely a pro. And yeah, that is why a lot of people obviously want to get into supported living. So that's my first pro. My second pro